Participation. We are in the small meeting room at Eastham Town Hall. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local channel 8 and through the town website eastham.ma.gov. In attendance this morning are Kate Paradise, Gergana, Aleksieva, Merrill Davidson, Ellen Greer, D. Mattfeldt, and Susan Maren. And it does not appear we have anybody in attendance online just yet. So the first order of business before we even get to approving the minutes. Merrill, you're our clerk on record. Are you comfortable grabbing the minutes sort of in this sort of brief format using the agenda? Are you okay doing that today?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. All right.
Oh, so you want me to take minutes?
If you could take the minutes, that
Sure.
would be great.
Do you have
We'll
an
see.
extra copy of
The agenda?
the minutes?
minutes or the
Yes,
agenda?
here are these are the minutes from last.
All right, thank you.
And you
Then
can
I
just
can just
use
write
them.
notes on here. It's easier.
Yeah, and I think the minutes can be brief, succinct. It's just the sort of the spirit of the meeting. And if we do have any motions, the name of the person making the motion and whoever seconded the motion and the recorded vote is
Okay.
important for the town
That's great.
record.
I feel Gergana's minutes was perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, they were.
I was gonna
Short,
compliment you.
simple, Clear,
It's
Right.
you
perfect.
know, other than
Thank
naming
you.
the windmill, the event windmill. I was- Who knew? Yeah. So that was, but other than that, oh, and then Susan's spelling, yeah, that was, thank you.
So, can I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Sue Maren is
Motion
making.
to approve.
Sue made
Second.
it. Okay, Ellen is second. Any discussion, corrections, anything? Thank you.
Other
all.
than seconding, what a nice job it was.
All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Okay, committee board liaison assignments. So I had sent out a note to everybody asking each person if they would be willing to let go of one of your committees or boards so that we can give Sue Maren her roster of those to work on. So Gergana, which one would you like to let go of?
Planning board?
And I'm just taking notes here because Sue, I'll get with you.
Which one did you say?
Planning board.
Planning board.
Okay, so planning board, going around the table. Merrill, which one?
Great. I would like to give a zoning board of appeals.
Okay, you can give her
All
hard
giving me your
ones?
difficult ones.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't think we can do that.
You know, and when
Don't
I
worry,
came
don't worry.
in, they gave me all the ones. The reason why I said active was because I got all the ones that weren't active and I just kind of sat there and they said, well, you're new, you don't know what to do.
It's, yeah, because
It's
I
great being
was
you.
new a few months ago
All right.
and I got it, so I figured.
Yeah.
What the
you're
heck, there's
again.
nothing going on at the moment,
Right.
that I know
Right,
of.
and
so,
I need to say for the record that we all do jump in and help each other.
yeah.
You know, that's
Definitely.
really important. Ellen, my friend, which one?
I'm gonna give you an easy one. I'm gonna, so I can keep all my committees are up with a C. So I'm gonna give you tea time.
Oh, good. I'm curious what's going on with them. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Right now.
And that's not
nothing.
really doing anything.
Right. D?
Yeah, how about Board of Assessors? They're in great shape. They may or may not want an alternate. It's out there, it's a vacancy, but they're in good shape.
So that gives everybody 5, including,
Which one are you
it gives
giving up?
everybody, I'm sorry, it gives everybody 4. Dee, do you want to
Yeah.
give up one more so that,
Well, the Forestry Advisory Board, all of that is, those positions are done by various other other committees.
so let's do
So it's kind of
1651.
quiet.
Yeah,
It
and
does
let's do
nothing.
1651 for you, Sue.
Okay.
And you and I can meet when I get back from Italy and we'll talk about
Okay.
all of these.
Okay.
All right, so just,
There's really nothing to do with the 1651.
That's the year, 1651.
It's a forestry, yeah, I think they're trying to get the forest back to that, what it was like in that, is the premise of the name, I guess. Yes, and Gergana and I would like to, we've talked about this. I would like to be able to do the Human Services Advisory Committee and give Gergana the Recreation Committee.
are you
you wanna
on
switch it?
recreation?
Yeah, and she's on recreation and I'm on.
That's a
your-
conflict. We can't do that.
Oh, yeah.
No,
'Cause it's
that's
so
what
much
happened with that,
easier.
what happened with the finance committee and I had to recuse myself and give it to you.
Oh, I was.
See, because I had someone apply for recreation, and so I tried to get in touch with the chair, Ed. And I didn't hear from him, so I went to Gergana and I said, what's going on? She said, oh, he's out of town this week, but we're full. I'm fairly certain we're full, but I'll check with him next week. And I said, okay, so it was, she knew more than I did.
Right.
She could take care of it immediately.
Right, and you
Where
guys
2
can talk,
weeks
we can
passed
talk to each
before I
other.
could get back to the other
Right.
guy.
But the problem is that if she's sitting as a voting member and someone that she brings before the committee as a candidate. And she's sitting there, she can't, it's just,
Why?
I don't
I don't get it. Cause
Yeah.
I was the liaison for the, yeah, the
And you
climate
know what?
action committee.
let me
There's
just think,
no,
let me just use my
it's
dead
fine.
brain.
no
for
rule, I
lack
don't
of
think
sleep.
about that.
No, there's no
There's
rule,
no
but
ruling.
with the finance committee, because the finance committee makes appointments to other committees.
Yeah,
I think that's why, I'm
Maybe.
thinking it,
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
Okay.
right.
That's
So that
what
one
I-
would make sense,
Yeah,
but
and we don't vote, the committee, the recreation commission, that one.
right, you guys don't sit and
Yeah.
interview people, okay,
Yeah.
all right, sorry, I have to
Perfect.
think.
So what do you,
Okay.
what do you?
I have
what
So
you-
I'm doing human services from Gergana,
All
and
right,
she's gonna do recreation.
Okay, so Gergana is,
To D,
human
and
services is gonna go to
recreation is
D,
going to. G.
and recreation is gonna go to
Great.
Gergana.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, what I will do is I will type up a new one of these, I will create a document or change the document and get this out to everybody after the meeting, so everyone has it, we're all on the
Okay.
same page.
And you're gonna update the clerk's office too? of the
Yes,
changes?
what I'll be doing is letting them know.
Thank
I
you.
have to get it to Kendra and to Linda. So Kate, update list,
Clerk.
and then to Linda and Kendra. All right, that was
that was
Easy.
easy, right?
simple, painless,
Not
and
too
easy.
painful, right? I.
May it
can I-
always be so.
So do you have the process that we have to go through when there is an interview? Do you have that paper?
I do
Easy
not,
to say, okay, so
unless
that,
it's part of the
That's what
database.
I'll be
Flow
going
chart.
there in a second.
oh, fine.
Great.
Flow chart.
What I was looking for next was a person willing to be, and I can do it, if you all, I know that Dee, you're mentoring Merrill.
It's not easy.
I know, and we don't want to
Very
add
difficult to
more,
get along with.
I'm a
you know.
slow learner.
so
You want me to
Uh,
take them?
I would love.
I can take him.
I would love for somebody to mentor Sue, and I can certainly do it, meet with you when I get back.
Yep.
But in the
okay.
meantime, if stuff comes up, would you be willing to
Oh, sure,
work with
absolutely.
Sue
Absolutely.
to help her through? I'm gonna send you the handbook,
Okay,
and the handbook has pretty much spells out everything that we do.
Yeah, that's great.
And did you hear back from Linda? Did
Yeah,
you
I
hear
have access.
to the database?
Yes.
Okay, all of
have
us are in the
access,
all of
okay.
us are in the
Oh, okay.
database as well.
Yeah, that's
So-
great. You
Okay.
have access to our board, you're done. What they did to, excuse me, you know what they did to me I got on in January, December. I didn't get on board until the following fall. And every time I needed to know who the name of the chair was, I had to go to the chair of the search committee, who never responded. I said, I went to Linda Sassy
And you're
one time
still
and
here.
I said, Linda, I don't know what I'm doing. So then that's when she came in and she taught Hilda and I how to get on board. It was crazy.
On
Yeah, it's
board,
pretty-
is it on
everything-
board or
I
real
feel
on board
for
or
new people.
On the
Yeah,
onboard
onboard's
system,
great.
an onboard system?
I think a lot of
Right.
this was siloed, and I think we're learning now that it needs to be, particularly for the search committee, there needs to be broad access.
Yes.
Which leads me to, I'm gonna move this agenda around a little bit because I want to talk about why I sent all of you the town charter. I think it's important. We've had a couple of issues, one of which was a person who applied for a committee and is sitting on 3.
Oh, yeah.
And there was perspective on the parts of some that that person could also sit on this new additional committee. And then what happened was I was notified in my role as chair of search that no, the town charter specifically states that you can only sit on 3 committees at a time.
Oh,
And I
Okay.
said, oh, interesting. Please, do you have the chapter and verse where that occurs? And that person was able to point me to it. So I sent all of you copies because there were people who felt that we could have as many people as needed on different committees, and that's just in fact not so. We also have a situation going on right now where there is a person who has applied for a committee. There's a select board member who is saying, no, this person cannot be on that committee because the person has just completed a 3rd term. That's another thing that's in here.
Oh.
3 terms, and then you're done. You have to sit out.
Right. For at least one,
For
right?
at least one.
Yeah.
Correct. This
that-
person, let me just finish. That person has actually only served 1 full term and 1 year, and I'm deliberately not mentioning committees or names here. I have said that if there's a reason why there's pushback to having that person on the committee, we don't need to know the reason. We just need to know, don't go there. And we're not being told that. We're just being told the person termed out, and the person didn't term out. So I've explained to the select board member that we can only go by what we see in the database.
Mhm.
So if there's another reason, we don't need to know what it is, just say to us, we're done.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to hear.
Okay.
Okay, your question was?
Ed. He went before the board because he was 3 terms. And he went before the board to do a 4th term and was accepted.
Yeah.
So it's not that they just have to get out.
Yeah.
They have to be approved by the select
Yeah, I
board, and
guess.
he went before.
To
the
go
board.
back in,
So,
yeah.
so that doesn't read clearly, is what I'm saying.
Well, it does now.
Okay,
It's very clear that the exception is that if the person goes before the select board
There you
and
go.
there is no one else available, there are conditions that have to be met. So I would,
all right.
I
great.
would,
Nobody else has applied, nobody else.
yes,
Happy chair.
it is. we know that exceptions to rules
Yeah.
then
Right.
become discretionary, discretionary becomes other things. We don't want to do that.
Right,
This is very clear cut.
okay, good,
So I would
all right.
commend it to you. Nighttime reading before you go nine-nine.
Is there gonna be-
Go nine-nine.
is there gonna be a test?
Oh,
Dee's gonna
just-
read to me.
That's
Because
part
she's
of
my
the
mentor.
mentorship.
Ellen's taking you
I'm
on.
taking him on.
You're taking him on.
Yeah.
So I have a question to follow up on you, and this is my human resources head. So it sounds like any committee chair or committee can just say, can veto a member without providing a reason.
No,
Okay,
the
Has to be a
select
reason.
board, which is the appointing body,
okay.
can. This is the first I've experienced it, that a select board member has said no. And there's some other stuff that is going on behind the scenes with that I don't want to, it's not necessary to
Yeah,
hear.
we don't need to know.
No.
No, but I just worry from what if somebody didn't want somebody because of their race or their religion or something that was, that
No.
for this
Good
committee.
question, doesn't happen.
But so just to know that when we do the form and we say that person is accepted and there's a rejection place, you have to state a reason. So it has to be,
On the interview.
you know,
Okay.
skills
And
aren't commensurate
to your
with, you
point,
know,
even
or.
the interview itself, where I stood with this is that the select board member was saying the person termed out, therefore we're not going to interview them. And I said, right, what I see in the database is one full term, 3 years, a partial term, which is an unexpired term, 1 year, that's 4.
Just 4
To
years,
me,
not
they
4.
have not turned out, therefore, unless I am told otherwise, we need to interview this
Right.
person. So it's upstairs. And so
Okay.
So who sends out the rejection letter? Do we?
I do. The chair of the search
Oh, the
committee
chair.
does.
Okay, good.
And I have found that I recently did one. And it was not a block form one, it was more personal
Mhm.
and encouraging and supportive. And I got a lovely note back from the person.
Oh, good.
And she said that she would be looking for other
Other
spaces.
things, yeah.
Okay.
We had a form letter that was, I think a little. It wasn't cold so much as it was sort of mechanical, and
Yeah,
I think we can be, because we are not bound by anything other than, we need to inform you that we had 2 wonderful candidates. One was the other person
Good
was
choice.
selected this
Right.
time around. However, we encourage you to
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah.
Kate, I have a question for you, because it's similar to what you just talked about. There were 2 applicants for a committee and they couldn't choose.
Mhm.
And so they had to work on this for a bit.
Mhm.
And then they got back to me and they said, all right, this is where we're gonna go, but we want so-and-so on hold.
Hmm.
So there was never a rejection letter. Can you just keep that name in your file for the future?
It stays in the file for 2
So,
years.
so there was no rejection letter, there was just on hold. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the other way to look at it.
yes.
Okay.
And my experience is
I don't
this,
know that on hold though.
well, on hold just means that when a seat opens up, you'll be
They
the
want
first person.
that person.
They want that
If it's
person.
somebody else, so somebody else
Somebody else could
decides
apply.
that they want more.
They can
that
apply.
They'll
you
have
know.
a re-interview?
So I think that we shouldn't do that, to tell you the truth. I think we
Well,
should just
so
say,
that's the question.
yeah.
At this time.
I think just make it, yeah, at this time, and please apply again, or,
I think
something
that's
like
what,
that.
that's what you're talking about, right?
But they didn't get
I
it,
didn't-
we
I
didn't do
didn't-
a rejection letter.
I did not, nor did the chair of that
I
committee.
just think that would make it.
Send out
better.
a rejection letter.
Okay.
They told them, they spoke to them
Mhm.
and said, we're not in a position to take on both of you. we would like to keep you in.
And that committee doesn't have any alternate positions?
Yeah, I still
Until
think,
the-
yeah, I do think, to
So-
Ellen's point, we should
Yeah.
have sent out a letter
I
that
think we
right
should.
now, the position was filled by another person.
Okay.
However, we encourage you to
Yeah.
continue
To
to,
attend the meeting, stay
Yeah.
interested, the committee
Yeah.
wants you to,
yeah.
stay into your
Yeah.
input, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
I
how
don't
you
view
use
it as a
skills.
rejection letter so
Yeah,
much
yeah,
as,
yeah.
you know, someone else filled the
Right,
spot,
right.
the
Yeah.
slot, and,
They're waitlisted.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's-
So what's your sense on, because I've done this before, where a position opens up in 6 months and I've affirmatively reached out. Doesn't mean that we haven't opened it up and it can be, but it's just that extra step of reaching out and saying, hey, we've talked to you before. Are you interested? No guarantee.
And that's why
Yeah, you don't have to do the
have,
whole interview
right,
process.
yeah,
maybe.
that's
I can
also
see that.
why we all have, we're liaisons, because we can keep an eye on it. And if we see that someone from one of the committees that we're the liaison for has someone for personal reasons has resigned from the committee and there's an unexpired term available, we can
But that's okay to reach out affirmatively.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So who keeps the application on file for 2 years?
Town clerk.
Town clerk.
Okay, so we don't have
It's on
to,
It-
board.
No,
It's,
right.
it's in
It's
on
on
board
board,
for 2
right.
years.
For
All
2
right.
years, okay.
Yeah.
And actually, part of the conversation, and this is sort of a sidebar, but that I found fascinating was that every committee that all of us has applied for, it stays an on board, so, I'll use myself as an example, I took myself out of the process, actually, the first time I applied for the finance committee, there were 2 of us,
Mhm,
and the other person was chosen.
mhm.
I never got a rejection letter,
Mm.
but on board said rejected.
Oh,
And I said, I like that word.
yeah, I don't either. I agree with that. I agree.
That word.
Yeah,
So, you know, I think.
unaccepted. It's a little nicer, I don't
not-
know.
Or
Yeah.
not selected this time.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, you want, there are really 2 categories. There are the people who rejected who you don't want.
Right.
And then there are the people who you just don't have the space for, who you
And to
do
come,
want. Yeah.
yes, yes.
So there's sort of a pending and a rejected.
Oh, there, that's a good word, pending.
I think that there is stuff
Yeah,
that is
they're not really
pending,
pending.
but pending, what happens with
Yeah,
pending
pending
is.
is.
Yeah.
You go down a
Yeah.
rabbit hole, and it's not our database, so
Oh,
we
yeah.
can't.
yeah,
So,
so I guess.
right. So we can chatter about it, but
Yeah.
it's not our database, so. All right. So the current and upcoming vacancies, now that we've switched everything around, I'm gonna ask you guys to speak to your old committees if there is anything going on. I'm not sure. Merrill, how would you like to
Yes.
record this for your? Here's the vacancy report. The current.
Yeah, if you
one.
want to give me that, and then
Yeah.
I can write notes on here, thank
Yeah,
you.
I think that'll work best, and I will be getting this in. Does anybody else need a vacancy report?
If you have one. Looked at it.
That's this one. That's from last year.
The one I
That's-
sent
that's
out the other
updated.
Oh, it's
day.
an updated one.
I guess
Maybe
it's
I don't have an updated.
Do you guys want to share and
Sure.
we can share here?
I'm
Okay.
gonna write notes on here.
All right, good.
What was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. I'm so tired.
So we're gonna review this?
So we're gonna go through that.
Yes, and
Okay.
please know that the search committee liaisons will be changing. I will make sure that these get changed because this is actually old information. So we'll get this changed.
Okay,
So I'm just gonna call off the different committees and then the person who has the information, if you could please speak to it, that'd be great. It looks like there's 1 seat on the Affordable Housing Trust.
yes, we had an applicant. I've reached out to Amy Ekman,
Mhm.
have not heard back yet, sent 2 emails out, waiting to hear back. The person actually was somebody that you might have talked to, or you guys talked to at, yes,
Yeah.
at,
We wanna get
Windmill
on that.
Weekend. Which was kind of neat.
And if you can't reach Amy Ekman via email.
Yeah.
You can go into onboard and give her a quick phone call. It's
Okay,
okay to do that. she's had some medical stuff.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she may have somebody sit in for her, but it's fine to call her. I'm sure she'd welcome a phone call.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Board of Assessors. that
Yeah,
looks like
there's
there's-
the alternate there, and I pass that on to you, they're a strong committee right now. And I don't know if anyone wants to sit as an alternate. I can talk to a member of the committee and see how he feels about it, Dave Hobbs, is the chair, and I haven't spoken to him about it yet, but they're good,
Okay.
they're full.
All right, and just as a sidebar for that, so that you know, for your own information, Dave Hobbs's wife, Bev, is now the new chair of
Yeah, I know
the
Bev.
Council
I'll
on
see
Aging.
her Wednesday night.
Great, okay.
Yeah, she's great.
The Board of Health has two alternates, and they're not, it's not super active, or there's nothing super urgent about that, so we can just hold off on that for the
Just, can I
moment.
ask a question? Does the alternate sits outside so that they're the next one to become a member, or?
The
does-
alternate has seat and voice in the meetings, and if it's for protection for a quorum as well.
Okay.
So if there's no quorum, it's seat voice vote. It
So
just has to be
So
noted at the
they're
meeting.
sort of active members. They
Right.
just have,
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
if there is a vacancy, they slide in. Sometimes these committees have steeper learning curves.
Mhm.
And so the alternate would be sitting in so that they can slide in and not have as steep a learning curve. Conservation lady,
Conservation Commission.
lady.
Are there any vacancies?
It looks like there's,
I'm sorry.
I haven't heard, I haven't seen any applications.
okay.
No info on that, no movement.
Okay, and one of the things that we can do is we can look at the list of people who have submitted applications in on board recently, and if there's something that looks like we have a person that's really chomping at the bit, we can also offer up these other committees. as
We have
alternatives.
access to that because
You
Yeah, where
should,
is
do
that?
you?
I'm gonna have to look again, but I didn't think I did.
Okay,
Charges.
what I can do, is,
Let me locate, and if I need,
you can call me.
I'll call you.
Yeah, because it's in, applicants. It's in the, if you go into onboard,
Right.
on the left-hand side, you'll see applicants.
Right,
And if you click applicants, it comes up with all the recent
yeah,
ones
I don't know.
chronologically,
Applicants or
Yeah.
apply?
applicants.
Cause I went out
Not-
there and
we're
I
not
think
here.
I didn't
Boards,
have
let's
access
see.
for some reason, but
Okay.
I'll let you know.
And if your access is limited for some reason, we need to know that so
Yep.
that we can get you
Mm.
full access.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cultural council, looks like you've got a couple, Ellen.
Yes, I just handed in a form for Barbara Schooley, so
Great.
she'll get on board November 4th,
Okay,
and that's all the activity there.
okay, so you still got
Thank you,
one,
Gergana.
you'll have one
We're
opening.
doing half that.
Okay, it looks like there are 8 seats, so they're not in danger quorum wise, so.
Yeah.
That's another thing, Sue, that we keep our eyes on. If a committee is like 5 people and they have 2 vacancies, then their quorum is at risk.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that we. The finance committee, that's D now, sorry, I
Yeah.
can shut up,
Yeah.
good.
Finance Committee has 2 applicants that will interview at the Finance Committee meeting in November.
November 14th to be exact.
I think it's the 21st. I think it was a.
No,
typo
they
on-
changed it. They changed it
They
to,
changed it again?
yes.
Okay.
And believe me, I had it in my calendar as the
Oh.
third one in each
Yeah,
month, and then she
because
changed
I
it. to
told both
14th.
the applicants the 21st, so I have to go back and tell them.
And you may want to call
I'm gonna call
Mary,
Mary.
make sure that she didn't misspeak, because I just sat there and went,
Cause I got an email from her saying the 21st.
I sat at the meeting going, And then she reminded everybody, and then it was in the notes and it was on the bottom of the
All right,
agenda.
well,
So-
whatever, we'll find that date out, but there's two applicants for a position on the finance committee. And the entire finance committee will interview those applicants.
Yep, it's the 14th,
All right, I'll,
but check with Mary.
I will. yeah,
Okay.
So.
Old Town Center Historic District Commission is right now. They're not looking for any new members. They don't meet that often and so they feel like they're all set. I am going to skip over the planning board as my prerogative right now. There are actually two or three people that are applying.
Okay, well, that's good.
Recycling.
Recycling, this evening, the board should be accepting, Jim Daw as an alternate.
Great.
So that will be the done deal. with
That is a
recycling.
long time coming with him, getting
Thank you,
him on a
thank you.
committee.
Yes.
Thank you, Dee, for, may
He's
the
a
minutes
part-time resident.
reflect.
Do you-
Thank
his
you,
wife,
Dee, for
Kathy,
all of your
she's
hard
on
work.
the Part-time residents, committee, Kathy Dawn,
Sounds familiar.
DAW, and Jim.
Huh.
So Jim's a part-time resident, he'll be an alternate.
It's great. Search committee, we actually have one seat available. So if any of you would like to, if you know someone, please
What committee?
No.
search.
Do you know anybody?
But we, I think we're fine the way we are. If I was called by the search committee in my role as chair of search committee, I would say the committee is just fine.
Mhm, okay.
The committee votes and I break a tie. So it's,
There you go.
Mhm.
it all works. Okay, the strategic planning steering committee, that has been sitting for a while. I need to work on that. I think their work has just completed. The strategic planning steering committee, up until June 30th, we were on a town strategic plan, and their work has been to create the next 5 years, and they've just finished the work. So I think that's why they're not really taking anybody new at this point because the work is just finishing up. The person who had tea time, would you like to explain what is going on with tea time?
Let's see, they, I'm looking at it right now, they have what? They have life-term seats?
But right now, they're not active.
No.
They,
I mean, I haven't heard
they're
anything.
waiting. There's a whole lot of mishigas happening right now
Good.
with tea time and that space, and a lot of opinions in town about what that space should be used for.
Right,
And, so.
so they're not actively seeking anybody. as
I
far as
think
know.
what's going to happen from what I hear, and this is just not on the record, but I think it's going to be
Huh.
reconstituted and resurrected, and then your work, Sue, will begin to recruit people.
Yeah, I also hear that, and this is off the record too, that they didn't want to put any more septic in and they were waiting for the plan for the sewer system down the road as
Yeah.
well. And that may affect everything else.
Right, and there's a perspective that there should be affordable housing there. There's a perspective that there should be a big recreation center there. There's a perspective that it should be left alone and be a, and all of which, that's the.
Maybe it should be a driving
pros.
range.
And,
Yeah.
and then the con, of course, the con is that traffic turning out, that's the affordable housing, I think not in my backyard, the NIMBY.
Yeah.
The one that I heard about the driving range that was really, really, really funny was that people's cars, as they're driving on Route 6, could be endangered by flying golf balls
Oh
going
my
through their
God.
windshields.
And that was published as an April Fool's joke this past year.
Oh, yeah,
Independent,
yeah.
yeah.
And I bid on it. I was like, yes, make it a driving range again.
Make some money for the
Oh,
town.
my God.
Right,
Just make sure there's a space for the scallop guy.
right. Okay, the task force on zoning and regulation, Gergana.
Yeah, they have many open seats, and one alternate. We had an applicant, but because of the nature of their, task right now to connect it with the strategic planning, they're just finishing up the planning, and for now, they will be pausing getting new members until they're not done, which will be probably beginning of the next year. So I informed the applicant, was accepted okay as information, and I encourage him to apply for any others. Or just to contact me if he has any questions.
So the only question that I would have
Okay.
about the zoning, the task force on zoning and regulation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 vacancies, one of which is an alternate. They only have 9 seats, so I would be concerned about, who's the chair of that committee?
Mary,
Could you do me a favor and just call her and just get with her and see if they're gonna have any meetings coming up where they require a vote and a quorum? Because it sounds like here they,
yeah, I can.
just check with her to make sure her quorum is okay.
Yeah, they have 4 seats open.
Yeah, and an alternate. Okay, all right, out of 9, so they have a quorum at 5, but if one person goes to
Right.
Florida,
Right.
How are
just-
they connected to the zoning board of appeals? Or are they?
they're
No,
not,
they're not.
Oh.
two
Okay.
different, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, last but not least, the zoning board of appeals, 2 alternates. it looks
Yeah,
like.
2 alternates, somebody applied. Trying to think who. And I reached out to the chairperson and they said, we're not accepting any application at this time.
Huh?
Even though they had alternate positions, so I said, okay.
Can they do that?
I-
If there's openings?
They can,
Yep.
chairperson's prerogative.
Right. Seem very democratic.
There may be a reason why they don't,
Yeah.
I mean, if someone applied for search committee, certainly we would be, I think it's important to conduct the interview.
Yeah.
But there are committees whose work is completed in a certain chunk of the year, and once that work is completed, if they have an opening, they may not, or if there's a steep learning curve and they're in the midst of the work, like the strategic plan,
Yeah.
they may not want to bring somebody in and have
Right,
to
right.
onboard
Catch up
them.
or whatever.
So there
Oh.
may be reasons.
And by the way, I had reached out to Bob Bruns,
Mhm.
because we got 2 different applications for things. And he was having shoulder surgery a few weeks ago,
Okay,
and he might be out of commission until mid-November. I'm not sure.
okay.
But just so that I'm sharing that with you, so that if you have to reach out to him, he may be incapacitated.
Okay, his wife is on a couple of other committees, and I think it's okay to find out from her if he's incapacitated, who he wants, who he would prefer you reach out to on the committee. The good thing about onboard is that you can see the whole committee. So I had a situation, for example, where we had an opening on a committee, and I looked at the committee names and there was no one designated as chair, co-chair, nothing. So I just started going down the list and there's phone numbers for everybody, calling until I got a person. So it's
But
good.
Donna, if you find out that you need help with the task force on zoning, like they want people, let us all know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because if we get an application like for one of our committees and they're
Yeah.
full, we can say, would you be interested in?
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
and the
Yeah.
other thing that is really specific for this one is that it requires to have a little more knowledge
Yeah.
of the matter
Yeah.
that they
Yeah,
deal with, so.
it's the same as your conservation
Yeah.
commission,
Yeah,
they want like a lot of science background.
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
I mean, that makes sense.
yeah, and
Correctly.
I think one of the things that we could do, I think, adding to our discussions here is designate a time for each of us to talk about any particular person that may have applied to a committee that you're responsible for, and the committee, for whatever reason, may not be accepting new members. Let's keep that person warm. Let's,
Yeah,
you know,
I
talk
talked to you
about-
about that one guy,
yeah.
and now he's in
right, exactly.
Merrill's good hands.
Right, and I think it's really important that we show that we're not saying, well, there's no room on the committee, shut the door, but instead that, well, right now, we want you to volunteer for the town. Have you
Right.
thought about blah, blah, blah?
Right.
And if they say no, that's their prerogative, but at least we're offering.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Um, So I think what we can do is we can talk about applicants. Um, All right, that's minutes. Where's my agenda? Oof, man, okay. Old business updates on any recruitment activities. I am on my way upstairs after this meeting to see if I can get something on calendar. With either Rich Bienvenu or with Jackie or both of them to try to get us some kind of a budget. I'm aware that we talked last month about having. We have a banner, but a canopy and swag and stuff like that. So, I'm gonna see if I can get us those materials. I think
Look at this guy, he's on
that's
5 committees.
important.
This guy's on 5 committees.
Yeah. So, look for term dates with that, Ellen.
What's that, what did you say?
Look for term dates because that should not be. And let's not mention any names here, but
No.
if you could shoot me the,
27, 26, yeah. Oh, one's a life term,
okay,
that's
yeah, but that's
Probably
still, ooh,
yeah, a
okay,
lot of
all
committees.
right, yeah, see, this is, and what happens, the spirit of this, and Sue, you know this, is what happens in organizations is you have the revolving door of people changing seats all over the place, and new people who are trying to jump in. If you're playing a game of jump rope, they can't get in.
Yeah,
Because there are people that are taking
yeah,
all the air out of the
Right.
room, and we want to encourage people to
right.
be a part
it's
of it. And
always-
having those new fresh voices is
it's
really
yeah,
important.
it really is.
So,
Really helpful.
In your past experience, are we having issues with recruiting people to fill these, or we're pretty full?
no, I think this is would you say, Dee, this is the fullest we've been?
Yeah, I think this is incredible.
Yeah, I was looking for,
Yeah, I
what can
think,
we offer incentives for people to be on committees?
I would have said
Yeah.
that,
Like a tax
True.
savings, property tax savings, for example.
A permanent place. in
Roll
Pittsburgh
back.
Beach.
what I can say is when I joined the search committee, things were done a little bit differently. And I think things, I got handed a stack of paper. And I think that the spirit of the committee was maybe be doing other things rather than recruiting or in addition to recruiting?
Well, I will say, because I was on back then, was that we were at the middle of, implementing this on board and really trying to figure out
It was done
what
on paper.
information do we want in this? What do we need for reports? So that was a lot, that was really the bulk of the work that we were doing probably for a year or so. And, the previous chair spent a lot of time with, Linda Sassy doing that, which is, but just, so now that that's all done, I mean, it's changes, it's different than it looked originally, but now that that's all done, I think, yeah, that.
And I
Um,
think also as
we
well,
helped a lot of people through.
it's really good to have some members of a committee that are sort of come from that world.
Yeah,
I think it's also good to have the fresh voices that might say,
exactly.
why do you do
Right.
that? Blah, 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 blah. So I can tell you that because I come from a background of being a headhunter,
Mhm.
to me, the most important thing in the search committee is writing our name. We're searching for people
Yeah,
and
yeah.
trying to find them. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so glad Sue's with us, because we have that HR background. But that's not to say that what you all bring to the table is equally, if
Right.
not more valuable in terms of how we go about doing our work.
Right,
My only thing is that we have a charge from the town, so if we're operating and doing work outside of the charge that's given to us, then why are we doing it? It doesn't make sense because we're operating outside of the guidance that's been given to us by the town. So, and I think a little of that happened prior.
So we've never offered an incentive for folks
No,
to encourage them to apply.
no.
Only facts as you want.
Yes, we know.
We had a great idea
had to
and I
throw it.
really support that to have once a year, like an event, appreciation event,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which can be like set as tradition to all the volunteers. So if you wanna ask when you go upstairs, if they're willing to do that, so we can just budget how much it's gonna cost us, how many people eventually will be coming, so we can have an idea.
Yeah, I've been talking about it for over
A
a year,
while.
for a
Yeah,
while,
yeah.
about a volunteer appreciation event, and Jackie loves the idea.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, I think it's.
figuring out
it's
who,
so
what, where,
important.
when, why. I
Yep.
think we can do it at the Elks, since we have a person that may
Yeah,
have
has
an in and the
connections.
Sure,
door.
why not?
Yeah.
And it's really to say thank you to all of
Yeah,
the
and just recognize people that
recognizing
people are
people,
doing these things,
exactly,
and
right.
I mean, there's a
that's part of it.
lot, there's really a lot of, committee members in this town, like a lot. I mean, there's probably,
Yeah.
I would say, what,
Yeah.
300 or something,
Most do.
right?
Mhm.
So,
Not everybody
it
would
would-
be able to attend.
right,
But it
right,
would
but I
be
bet
like
you
a
get
breakfast,
100
like a
either.
breakfast kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yep,
It doesn't have to be humongous, but I mean, a little bit of swag, something recognitions that
Yeah,
people can
yeah.
feel like the work
comfort
they're
pen or something, a magnet or something.
the work that they're doing is appreciated, it's recognized, it's seen,
Right.
it's heard.
And just make pins. As a recognition,
Mhm.
we can talk to them, they're not so expensive, like the custom. pin.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's lots of stuff. to
Yeah.
do, but Yeah, we need money to do it though, so that's
Yeah.
your job, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good luck with that.
Yeah,
Good luck
I
with
think
that.
that now is the time, because
Yeah.
we're starting to think about budgets.
Right.
and,
Yep.
Right.
I also happen to know, and most of us do know, that in every town, there's a discretionary fund.
Yes, yes,
So,
yeah.
and that's what these things are used for. I do have homework for all of you.
Oh,
What?
well,
I've received a
Now or never.
notification that the annual report is coming due.
oh, okay, yes.
So if all of you could just think of one or two things, bullet points, that you believe should be in the annual report about the search committee, And again, people do read the annual report, so I think it's a good opportunity for us to be saying, you know, the search committee recognizes and values, you know, that type of thing. It doesn't have to be cold. It can, you know, with stats, it can be a warm, inviting, if you want to be part of the volunteer cadre or whatever, you know, kind of things. If you could each send me a couple of
Sure.
bullet points.
Can I just suggest that you know, voting is coming up. And, you know, election day is coming up, and that in the past, we've set up somewhere, you know, where people walk by us as recruitment efforts. And I mean, I just think that that's
You're looking to recruit people.
yes, you go with, you know, we'll have our pamphlets, we sit, we chit chat, we have our you know, banner up.
But
and-
here's the other piece of it. I don't think we're allowed to.
Well, we did it in the past.
I understand, but I don't think we're allowed to, and here's why, because last year I tried to. And I was
Yeah.
told that voting regulations
Yeah.
are that you have to be a certain number of
Right.
feet
Right.
away from things. Regardless
We were
of
like out
what
in
your
the hallway, we
affiliation
were
is.
like out in the hallway or something,
And
yeah,
other thing they will.
or
be
even up on
close-
top of the stairs or something.
Everything around this will be.
Yeah, I think with particularly, I'm going up to vote after this meeting.
Oh,
I'll
you're
ask.
doing the early voting?
I have to, I'm leaving on Friday,
that's right,
so,
yeah.
but I don't think we're allowed to, because I
Okay, yes,
wanted
yeah.
the search committee
It's
to.
just that,
um,
see, you know, everybody in East
Well,
Hampton.
I wanted us to be sitting next to the people who were checking people in, and they were
Yeah,
like, no
no,
way.
no, you can't
No
be
way.
there, no, they, I'm quite sure he can't be, yeah. So you're not slipping in a little,
I think,
huh? What are we looking for?
I mean, people are looking to sending in applications. I mean, other than the task force on zoning regulation,
Yeah, we're full.
there's not a whole lot of space for people. You know,
You mean-
positions, there's no vacancies, there's not a whole lot of
So
vacancies.
you can start to
26
build
of
a
them.
bench. And yeah, get people thinking about it.
Just
26,
exposure.
yeah.
Well, I
It's just
would-
something you gotta keep
Gergana.
beating the drum all
Gergana.
year, as many opportunities as you have, that you see a lot of townspeople. That's, I think, is
Yeah.
helpful.
I absolutely agree with this, and instead of not like mixing with the votes, I was thinking there is an event organized by the creation by the town. And Halloween at the Green,
Okay, yeah,
there will be different businesses and people volunteering to hand out candies.
yeah,
Until we know if we have a budget to do a bigger event, how about if we can have a table with, and I'm willing to get candies
candy.
for for the kids, lollipops, yes. it's
Lollipops.
Yeah,
There's actually two events. There's the Halloween at the Green. I'm not gonna be
You're
here.
not
If you
gonna be here
guys
for that, yeah.
wanna do it, it's up to you. But the other thing is, Carols on the Green. It is
Oh,
coming up,
okay.
and that's
saw that, yeah.
been combined this year with, Carols on the Green is the
who's doing that?
visitor service
Okay,
board.
Mhm.
It's being combined with Light Up the Night that was up at tea time. The two are gonna be together on the town green.
okay,
So it's gonna be Santa is coming, Mrs. Claus is coming. She's a friend of mine and I recruited her to come. We've got,
when is
The-
that now?
that is, December sixth or seventh.
Okay.
It's
12
already,
7.
been- yeah, it's the visitor service
4 to
board,
5.
visitor service board and the recreation commission are combining forces. It is dark,
It's dark and it is cold.
and I don't know
I think
that
we should-
But
we,
it starts at
election day.
like 4 o'clock in the afternoon,
Yeah.
if it's dark.
It's dark.
and I'm not sure it's an appropriate venue
Yeah,
for
I
us to
don't know about that
be.
one. I would do,
I
I'm
would
going
say
for election
more,
day.
maybe more the Halloween event,
I don't know.
but I'm not
Yeah.
sure
That's a cute
even with
event.
that.
we'd have to
Yeah.
dress up, we'd have to make a lot of effort to make it a thing.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let's,
Decoration.
how about if we
So maybe we'll
table
do
it
that
for
for
this
next year.
year?
Yeah,
And let's see how we, because, you know, the Windmill weekend is really, really important, and I do think the Eastham Part-Time Resident Taxpayer Association meetings, those are really important. Also being at the, I've been going to the Chamber's networking business after hours or whatever they're calling those, just to sort of be there. So, we can talk more about those events. Moreover, I think the important thing is, putting together a volunteer appreciation event.
I'm for that, I'm
Um,
all that, I'm all
and
about
then
that.
for next year, I really would love for us to have a presence as people walk into town meeting in May. I think.
Oh,
we
yeah,
should
definitely.
all be there.
That's a huge,
Please put
huge,
it on your
yeah, because those
calendars
are
because
people who
we'll
are
have
civic minded.
tables on each side.
Yep.
With people from, and we'll have
Yep.
swag at that point. Fingers crossed
Yeah.
that people will come over to grab a Tootsie Roll Pop
Yeah,
and you hand them a
Yeah.
brochure.
right, heaters,
Hand
blankets.
warmers, right, yes.
So
Oh,
cold.
do you know
Yeah.
Or, you know,
forever.
fans.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be indoors this year.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
begin the
gonna
high
be, it's
school.
gonna be
Oh,
in the new
that's
high
right, it's
school.
gonna be in-
Are you
The high
sure?
school is
Do you
done.
know the date yet?
It's
May
May,
something,
it's the first,
What is that? Is
the
the
actual
gym?
town meeting.
I mean, that, I don't think it's open yet.
It will be open this week.
It will.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, fingers
Nice.
crossed.
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be, no,
That'll
it'll
be
be in
nice.
the, it'll
'cause we
be,
froze our ass.
I would say it's
Last year.
probably gonna be May
It's
third.
still warm though.
I think it's
Saturday the
still-
third.
I think it's probably gonna be Saturday the third. What
third.
do you think? It's usually the
Yeah,
first
it's usually the
Saturday.
first, yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
So anyway, I think it's really important for us to
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
have, because it's every person from the town who votes,
Yeah,
and then some.
gives a crap, yeah.
The peanut gallery comes too. So.
Okay.
All right, are there any other pressing new business, anything that people feel that they need?
So I'm just gonna be clear, we're not gonna do anything for election day.
No,
You're gonna ask, are you gonna ask?
we're not going to, not this
Okay,
year.
but you're not here, so.
Yeah,
all right.
and it's just, it's not enough time to
Okay.
strategize for this year. And I think this year it's too big, and I
Yeah.
also,
Yeah,
my sense of things is people are pretty stirred up. And I don't want anybody here in the middle of something that could be
Yeah.
perceived as.
Okay,
So our
Can
next
anybody
meeting,
sign?
our next meeting is Monday, November 18th. Same bat time, same bat channel.
okay.
Anything else? And I have a
Motion to adjourn?
We're taking.
well, I saw you writing too.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Just-
There you go.
Just for myself.
Dee made a motion
Motion
to
to
I
adjourn.
second the.
Gergana has already seconded.
I missed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No opposed, no abstention. We're done.
Good.
Thank you.
You're gonna